two men from an Eastern European town, and they both played instruments. Now, these two men knew each other through childhood. No, in fact, they both picked up their individual instruments while they were with one another as children, and in fact, developed their skills of playing the instrument with one another. As time went along, they played music together, that they were always there for people to be able to hear them on the streets, for they became street performers. But then one day, one of the places on the street that makes the most amount of money became available. The problem with that piece of that spot is that it could only hold one person. And so these two men who grew up together would try and race one another to get that spot so that they could make as much money as possible. As time went along, they became very angry at one another. Another friend of theirs, a woman, decided that she wanted to do something about this. She grew up with them and saw their friendship blossom throughout all the years. So she invited each of them individually to her house. Each of them not knowing that the other one was invited. And they came. The very first thing she did was play some music with the two of them playing with one another and how beautiful it is. And then she took out her photo album and showed them pictures from their childhood, from the times they were teenagers, all these times that they grew up and they cared for one another deeply. It was at that point that they knew that they were wrong in what they were doing. And they became friends once again. They reconciled with one another. In today's gospel, we hear about Jesus telling what to do about someone that you have an argument with. Now, at one time in my life, I thought that this scripture had to do with go to that person and tell them that they did wrong. If they don't say it, then come with two more people. And if that doesn't work, come with the whole church. It reminds me almost of a scene from Frankenstein with all the villagers coming out and saying, "You have to forgive that other person." But that's not what this gospel's about. This gospel's about reconciliation. That hopefully the two people which are being hurt, either one hurting the other or both of them hurting each other, this gospel is about how to reconcile with that other person. Reconcile. You know, there are a lot of times we think that reconciliation with someone is also forgiveness. And they're not. They're two different things. You know, Jesus makes it very clear that we are to forgive one another. In that forgiveness, it's an individual choice that we forgive someone else. That other person doesn't have to be involved in that at all. They could be, but in general, they don't have to be involved. They don't even have to know that you forgave them. But we need to forgive that person from our very heart. Different than reconciliation. Reconciliation not only has to do with forgiveness, but then the two of you coming together again, whether it be friends or acquaintances, co-workers, whatever it is, that you develop the relationship once again. We are to forgive everyone. We are not to reconcile with everyone. You're like, wow, that doesn't sound right. Think about it. You should never reconcile. Put yourself in a situation again when you could be harmed mentally, physically, or spiritually. So if you have had someone that has done harm to you, and will continue to do harm to you if you get back together with them, don't get back together with them. Avoid them, actually. Because Jesus doesn't want us to put ourselves into harmful situations. He wants us to forgive, but he doesn't want us to put ourselves in harmful situations. Forgiveness and reconciliation. In what ways do you have some people still to forgive in your life? And who else might you have to reconcile with?